Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at the Rough Rider Reserve Rhino Tow. The RRR006. There we go. Awesome. So let's start off by taking some blade length measurements. Where did I put my thing? I'm filming this during the middle of the great ruler tragedy where I've lost my favorite stainless steel ruler and I'm instead using my calipers. But let's see, blade length here. We're looking at 2 1/3 inches. Whoa, get that on screen. Yeah, somewhere like that. And that's on the big blade. We're not going to take the small blade out just yet. Let's do some size comparisons. Here he is against the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. This is a big slip joint. Whoa, let's get everything on screen here. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. Like most days. I guess I'm just all over the place all the time. There we go. Next up, let's get our Svevs out here. There's the Elementum. And the Praxis. So yeah, chunky slip joint. Chunky. Put that over there. Get this guy out of the way. Here's a PM2. And here's the bug out, which I lost for a second. There we go. And let's compare against some other slip joints so you can see just how big this one is. So first, here's a case Stockman. Yeah. And let's grab one more Rough Rider. Let's do a Rough Rider Reserve. This is probably my favorite slip joint ever. This is the Rough Rider Reserve Swell Center Whittler. So yeah, even though it's a short knife, it is fat. Very, very fat. Okay, so what are we looking at here in terms of materials? So we have two blades that are D2 steel. We have this Wharncliffe main blade, and then we have like a little drop point sheep's footy secondary blade. Both of them are D2. We're looking at micarta for the insert here. And I think this is a brass. Let me check my notes and I'll tell you. Okay, I just checked the specs. So this shield here is nickel silver with nickel silver pins. These are stainless steel bolsters, brass liners, and denim micarta scales. So there we go. Awesome. Let's go do some cutting footage. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Rough Rider Reserve Rhino Tow. So the Rough Rider 00 something. Can't remember. Maybe I'll put it. It'll be in the rest of the review. Gosh dang, I'm an idiot. Anyways, let's get right into this. So, traditional slip joint. Obviously. How's that action? It's got a very strong pull. Sometimes it's a little bit too strong. I honestly wish the second blade wasn't here so that if the second blade wasn't there, you can see how it pops up. This knife would be really great. It'd be really easy to just grab that blade, pull it open. You won't have to use your nail nick. I've broken my thumbnail trying to open this guy. Grew out my thumbnails to use a nail nick and just broke them. I was like, oh, screw you. But very, very strong pull. But the plus side of that is that it has a lot of resistance before you can push it closed. Let's hear that walk and talk. Oh. Very good walk and talk. Nice to find half stop. There we go. The other blade has a lighter pull. I don't think that's really an issue though. It's a smaller blade, so smaller pool. All right, now, how are the ergos? Again, I kind of wish the little blade wasn't there, because if the little blade, without the little blade there, if this was just the big blade, this is, oh man, I could work with this for hours. With the little blade there, it's still good, but you can definitely feel it poke into your fingers a little bit. Still going to be great for utility cuts, and you can do some push cuts with it. Ergos for the little blade. It's a really big handle for such a small blade, but if you're doing like opening packages like that, it works fine. So nothing, got a lot of gunk in there. I have to clean this guy soon. Nothing that I would complain too much about. It's not a huge issue. Let's go ahead and do some cutting. Did I bring any cardboard? Better have. Yeah, I have this huge box here. We'll just cut these off. So we'll use a big blade. D2 blades, by the way. We have a wharncliffe and then like a little, I guess you call it a drop point, or maybe a sheep's foot if you want to. We'll call it a drop point. Pretty thin. I like that this knife has a swedge along the back, the big blade. Nice and slicey, like most traditionals. There's a big blade. Little blade out here. Even slicier. Yeah, that little blade, that's a razor. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and grab our... Oh, carry. Didn't even talk about carry. If you can find a slip that this fits in, all the more power to you. As far as just dropping it in your pocket, it's heavy, it's chunky, no pocket clip or anything, but I have dropped it in my pocket to carry, especially my back pocket. It works all right. No complaints. Okay, let's grab some cordage. Let's do a pull through with the little blade. Didn't even get all the way through. Took a little bit of effort. I think that's just because the blade's so small. Let's do a pull through with a big blade. Gosh. Sometimes that big blade is a big problem to deploy. Much easier. Let's go ahead and tilt down here. There we go. Let's do some pushes. I can tell on the big blade it's not going to work well just because it's a wharncliffe. Yeah, we can't really get down on it that good. So big blade, we're going to call that a scratch. Little blade. Oh, wow. You can push down on it a little bit better, but such a thin blade. Thin blades don't really work good on this type of rope, but fairly okay cut. All right, let's see our pool noodle. That's going to be a little bit tough for the tiny blade. Okay, well, besides being really small and awkward, it did feel good going through the noodle. It wasn't catching up or anything. Let's get the big blade out here. Again, just a little bit awkward blade shape, but it felt good going through. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. And there we go. Rough Ryder Reserve Rhino toe. Let's get back to the table, shall we? All right, so let's talk about what I'm liking and not liking about the Rough Ryder Reserve Rhino toe. Excuse the dirtiness. So first thing I like, this is a very different slip joint, and I love the way this knife looks. I've always liked the elephant toe pattern of slip joints, which is essentially this, except with a like more drop point blade instead of this Wharncliffe. But I love this pattern, this Rhino toe. Fantastic Wharncliffe blade. This blue Denim micarta is done very well. You see there, we will talk about that here in a little bit. But I think it's just a good looking knife overall. Next thing I like, the action. is very good. We'll talk more about the action later, but this has a very good defined half stop. The pull is very strong. That snap on the close is insane. But that's on the big blade. The little blade has a much lighter pull, but still good. You do still get the half stop. So good walk and talk all around. Big fan of that. Next thing, this knife is a performer. It slices very well. This Wharncliffe blade is excellent for utility cuts. Overall, I found this to be just a very nice EDC slip joint. Great package opener. Basically, anything that you might want to do for EDC, this is a great knife for. And that's something that to be appreciated. Next, the fit and finish is very good. You can see here, back, if it'll focus. Minimal gapping, everything's fit together very nicely, and especially for the price of this knife, just the fit and finish is excellent. Really, really nice. And let's talk about the price. I don't usually talk about the price of knives until I get to my final conclusions, but it's about a $60 knife. And I think it's absolutely worth it. You get fantastic materials, D2 steel on these blades. That's great. A lot of slip joints, especially in Rough Riders line, you know, they like the 440A, which does keep the price down, but even when you compare it to other brands, these two knives are about similarly priced. This one's a little more expensive, I think, but about similarly priced, and you definitely get more performance out of the Rough Rider. Yes, the case is made in the USA and stuff like that, so, you know, there's give and take, but as far as performance goes, this is a great bang for your buck. I really, really enjoy this. Gosh, that action is so satisfying. So, I do want to address really quickly, this version of this knife is all sold out. And as far as I know, the Rough Rider Reserve line, once, they might make the same pattern again, but not with the same material. So now that the denim micarta ones are gone, they might make the Rhino toe again, but it'll have a different pattern. So keep that in mind. You may not be able to find this one brand new. You might have to search on the secondary market. But there we go. There's what I like. Oh, that doesn't seem like a huge list, but when I get to my dislikes, you'll kind of see why. So dislike number one, this isn't something that applies to me, but it might apply to other people. This is a heavy knife, and you know, if you just want to drop it in your pocket, it's going to be bouncing around and stuff. There's not a whole lot of slips that fit a knife that's this wide. For example, my favorite, I've been carrying the Swell Center Whittler in this Tuya slip, which I like, but this knife doesn't really work in here. So that's definitely a negative. I'm probably going to make myself a custom leather belt pouch for this. I think that'd be really nice. But the carry is definitely going to be something that bothers a lot of people. It doesn't bother me really, but it might bother you. Next thing, you can see here on the micarta, something when they were laminating this micarta or whatever, started to kind of peel it away. And there's some like resiny bits and stuff. This is just on this model. This probably isn't going to be on all of them. This is just an error, a machining oopsie. So on my model, but it's probably not there on all models. Next, I wish the second blade wasn't here. This is going to be my biggest complaint, and it kind of encompasses several things. Number one, I just didn't use this blade a whole lot. The big blade did everything I wanted it to very well. Second thing, the pull on this knife is very tough. And I was growing out my thumbnails so I could get in here, but I kept breaking my thumbnails off because it is a tight pull. If the second blade wasn't here, you'd be able to just grab the big blade like this and pull it open. As it is, you do have to use the nail nick. So I'm not a big fan of that. Do wish that other blade wasn't there. The next reason I wish this blade wasn't there are because of the ergos in hand. Like, this knife is comfortable. Right here, this is comfortable. You can add this to the list of good things. This is a comfortable grip here. I'm not going to complain. But if I have to bear down, this blade just digs into my hand. And if that blade wasn't there, we're going to go Darth Maul style here for a sec. This is just so comfortable right here. This is so nice. So I really do feel like the second blade on this model was more of a detriment than an asset. And I just kind of wish it wasn't there. And my last complaint is going to be that, you know, these super polished bits, the bolsters, the blade, if you're actually using this knife, that is going to scuff up. I don't really care. For me, this is another thing that doesn't really apply to me. I think it gives it character, but you might care. Also, though, if you don't want it to get all scratched up, you know, maybe this is just a collection piece for you, just on display. But yeah, that's it. Let's go into my final conclusions. My final conclusions are, this was a quick video because this is a simple knife. Traditional knives are simple, but they work. This is a fantastic slicer, a great EDC knife. Yes, it doesn't have a lock, but, you know, pick and choose your battles. Obviously, I'm not going to be using this knife in the same ways that I would use my 8015. I mean, that just kind of goes without being said. However, just for EDC stuff, this works very good. And heck, this could even bump up into some more hard-ish use tasks, whittling, you know, out in the woods and stuff. I just find this to be a very good knife. Very useful blade shape, put together extremely well, and at a price tag that's absolutely fantastic for what you're getting. Can I recommend this knife? Yes, 100%. And that's all you guys need to know. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.